Hello. In this lesson, we're going to show you how to bring in a reference image, and then once we've done that, we're going to teach you how to properly scale it. So bringing in a reference image is very, very common, and it's done in just about every type of 3D modeling software. All right. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to bring in an existing image. Could be a JPEG, could be a PDF, could be a TIFF, could be anything. You bring that into your model, and that way you can use it to more or less trace over or use it to begin your model. Okay. In this case, we're going to go ahead and we are going to bring in a reference image of a park. Okay. Now, if you notice down here, my scale is at feet because a city park is really quite large. So my scale is going to be at feet. I'm on my default layer. And this is pretty important as well. If we go up here to render, you want to click on render, go down to current render, and you want to make sure that Rhino render is your default render. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zip away up here away from my title, and I'm going to get up here into the positive XY. And the command to bring in a reference image is picture. Picture, picture. Now, back in Rhino 4, 4, and 5, it used to be called picture frame, but now it's just called picture. So you can go ahead and type in picture, hit enter. All right, and then now what it's going to do is you will have some reference images somewhere. In this case, I've got my parks, and I'm going to use this one here that says Williams Park with a 10 by 10 grid. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and it shows you an image or a thumbnail of what you're going to bring in, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit open. All right, once I've done that, you can see my cursor is down here. It's basically going to behave almost exactly like a rectangle command. So I'm just going to click down in the lower left, drag it to the right, and call it good. And what I've done is I've actually brought in a reference image. Now if I click on this, you'll notice that this image is actually a surface. All right, so if I were to type in the what command, it would tell me over here that it's actually a valid surface, but that's not terribly important. All right, what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the transparency of this a little bit. Okay, and the way I do that is I'm going to go ahead and select this surface, and I'm going to go over here to my object properties, and I'm going to click on this little guy right here that says material, which is a paint swatch. Now if you're not in your object properties, if you're in something else, you want to make sure that you click on this little rainbow here. All right, and then from the rainbow you click on the material. Right, and what that'll do is it'll bring up this little dialog over here, and it says that this is the texture that I just brought in. All right, it says it's a picture. All right, kind of gives me a link to it. I'm going to pull this down just like that. And this is important. If this is narrow, like this, you're not going to be able to really see what's going on. You're going to see something that says trans. And that's what we're looking for, is the trans for transparency. So I'm going to go ahead, widen this window out a little bit here. And under object transparency, I'm going to slide it over to about 47% or so. It doesn't matter, just as long as I can see through it, right? So right now, if you look in here, I can see the grid through here, so that's all good. All right, now you'll notice that I'm on the default layer, okay, and that means that this surface here, if I select it, is the default layer. What I want to do is change to another layer, say this one here. Yep, that one there is active. Those are pretty long names. I'm going to bring that over there. So I'm going to change to my red layer. And what I need to do now is on this layer, I need to draw a line that I can use for reference, right? And right here it says that this distance here is 170 feet. It also says that this distance here is 60 feet, right? So I'm going to draw the shorter line because I think it'll be a little bit easier for me, right? So with my red line active, I'm going to go over to my standard tabs, and I'm going to go over here to just a single line. Select that single line. I'm going to zoom in here, figure out roughly where that is, click on it, and you'll notice that right now I'm drawing a line, and I'm going to zoom way out because I don't know what the scale is here. And I'm just going to type in the number 60, so 60, and I'm going to hit enter. And what that's done is that's drawn me a line that is 60 feet long, and it doesn't matter at which angle I'm moving it. If I push down my shift, it's going to go ahead and lock it to either one of these 90-degree options. So I want it to be straight up and down. Once I've hit shift, I'm just going to go ahead and left click, just like that. And now I have a 60-foot line. And now I have a small park. And I know that this park now needs to become larger. And I know that this distance from here to here is 60 feet. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in, and I'm going to scale this thing up. So I'm going to use the scale command. So I'm going to wait for it to do its little autosave. And I'm just going to type in scale, S-C-A-L-E. You have a couple options. You can scale it in 1 dimension or 2 dimensions. Scale will scale it in 3 dimensions. Now this surface is a 2-dimensional surface, so if I scale a 2D surface in 3 dimensions, it doesn't matter. But I'll be proper here. I'll type in scale 2D, right? And now it's going to say select the objects to scale. So I'm going to zoom out so you can see that this is an object. Click. And now if I look at my command line, it says press enter when done. So I'll go ahead and hit enter. And now it says base point. So my base point is going to be here. And now it says scale factor or first reference point. I'm going to go ahead and with my near snap on, I'm going to go ahead and drag this guy right up to about there. Click on it, and as I begin to drag, I'm zooming out, as I begin to drag my cursor up, you can see that my park is getting larger. All right. Now, with my end snap on down here, I'm just going to take this cursor and snap it to the end of that and click it. And you'll see what's just happened is this thing here has just enlarged itself to 60 feet. So I've just properly scaled this thing. Now, it's very important that once you've done that, because I'm going to go ahead and use this for a reference, once you've done that, you want to make sure that you lock the layer that it's on, right? So for example, I might want to go up here to the default layer, and I might change that to reference image. And now I'm going to move to another layer, and I'm going to lock that reference image. And now with the reference image locked, I can't do anything. You'll notice I can select that red line that I didn't need, but if I unlock this guy, that reference image can now move. So it's very important that, and I'm going to hit Control Z so it goes back to where it was. It's very important that this reference image, once you've scaled it, you lock it. Okay, now if you don't like it, if you've drawn some stuff, you can always turn it off. But it's very important that you get that thing locked. Okay, thank you very much. We have just learned how to import a reference image and how to change the transparency of it and how to scale it. Okay, thanks very much. I'll see you in the next lesson.